Joe Biden was asked if he rethought his position on Medicare for all in the wake of this pandemic, us not being prepared, other developed countries reacting better, and our system basically collapsing. Let's see what he said.
As you've been seeing, our healthcare system seems to be crumbling underneath this crisis. There is not enough. There's not enough support for the healthcare system. There's not enough support for the American people inside of the healthcare system. Are you now reconsidering your position when it comes to single-payer healthcare?
Single payer will not solve that at all. The thing that is needed is, for example, we have a whole number of hospitals that are being so stretched, including rural hospitals, they're going to need more financing. That doesn't come from a single payer system. That comes from the federal government stepping up and dealing with the concerns that they have, the reimbursement that they're going to get, how they're going to be able to move forward, and how they're going to be able to provide all the needed help that are needed in their communities. This is an opportunity to look at reconstructing the healthcare system in a way that, in fact, can respond more rapidly and more effectively.
When there's a pandemic, you need a centralized authority making the correct decisions decisively and swiftly. How do you have that kind of centralized system? There's only one way: nationalize healthcare. That's it. It's the only way. That's it. So Biden basically says, no, a single payer wouldn't fix this. And then he goes on to explain how a single payer system is our only hope to fix this. I'm depressed. I really am. Like, Biden said not too long ago, I would veto it. Even if the bill got to my desk, I would veto it. So I don't have to lift a finger and all the work is already done and it just comes to my desk. Hey, let's make sure everybody gets health care, Mr. President Biden. And he's like, no, I'd veto it because something, the cost. Medicare for all saves money. Medicare for all saves money. Trillions of dollars, $5 trillion over a 10-year period. So the question isn't, how are you going to pay for it? The question is, how are you going to pay for our current system? He doesn't care. He doesn't care. And I don't know what period was it that the Democratic Party decided that the argument they were going to go with and the position to them was, we're not for universal health care. Because when you go back in history, virtually every Democratic president and even some Republican presidents openly argued for universal health care. Openly argued for it. Truman, JFK, FDR, of course, the list goes on and on. Lyndon Johnson, they all wanted it. And at some point, the Democratic Party decided to put their middle finger up so strongly to the left, because now they're all hooked on the corporate money, that you have basically Democratic presidential candidates running for office and saying, don't even bother to try to fix the system. I'm not even in favor of a universal system. Yeah, you at least have to pretend to be in favor of that to get elected. Like, these people are a living parody. They're the living embodiment of that famous Internet Hippo tweet where he says, I just got back from the centrist rally, very inspiring. We all held hands and chanted, a better world isn't possible. I mean, that's where we are. This is what their message is. Biden, on his own website, he says something like 97% of people in the country are covered, which means 10 million people wouldn't be covered under his plan. On what planet is it reasonable to brag about that? It's embarrassing, man. The whole, on top of just being corrupt and taking money from the industry, I think that Biden and a lot of corporatists think that they appear more reasonable. Because, hey, we're not like those crazy lefties. We're meeting the Republicans halfway. The Republican position is, let's have millions and millions and millions and millions of people with no health insurance. And like Alan Grayson said back in the day, if you get sick, die quickly. Our plan is, piss off. We care about the profits of the health insurance companies and Big Pharma. That's our plan. And Joe Biden steps in and goes, well, come on now. You're a little too extreme. I think we should have fewer millions of people without health care, and maybe a smaller number of people going bankrupt for medical bills, but still some going bankrupt. Aren't I such a reasonable centrist? The number one issue among Democratic voters and among Americans is healthcare. And this is his approach to healthcare. Tell your base to kick rocks. You saw all the exit polls in all the states. Medicare for all is overwhelmingly popular even when they biased the question against it. And this is what Joe Biden does. He goes out there and puts his middle finger up to the Democratic base on a regular basis. No, I'd veto it if it got to my desk. And no, a single-payer system wouldn't help in a pandemic. So let me get this straight. We have a healthcare crisis, and giving everybody healthcare wouldn't help. Come on, man. Even you don't believe that. Come on, Jack. To copy Biden. But there's no way that anybody could really believe that. Yes, you also needed to do pandemic preparedness, of course. You needed to have the proper number of ventilators and masks and all that stuff. Everybody understands that. But another thing that would massively help is if we had a single-payer system and if we had paid time off. Joe, 6.6 million people filed for unemployment this week. This week. 3 million last week. A lot of those people had their health insurance tied to their job. Now they lost their job. Now they have no health insurance. They can go bankrupt if they get coronavirus. And you're defending that system. The political climate is just so toxic and so stupid and so wrong and so bad. Imagine believing a single-payer system wouldn't help in a pandemic. Go talk to the person who just got a $30,000 bill because they got coronavirus. What's your answer for them, Joe? He doesn't have one. I know what Bernie's answer is. I'm going to take that bill and I'm going to rip it up. You're not going to have to pay a penny. We could $4.5 million to corporations to bail them out. That's what the Corona bailout had. Joe Biden wasn't out there, hey, how you going to pay for it? How you going to pay for it? He wasn't saying that. But Medicare for all, he always says it. He always says it for Medicare for all. We got the Federal Reserve pumping $1 trillion into the market every day. Every day. Every day. He's not saying how you're going to pay for it. Just for health care for you. That's it. If you have to pay thousands of dollars, what are you going to do? And actually, I'm being a little unfair because Biden did tweet that he would have testing free and treatment free for the coronavirus. But, my response to him would be just take that logic and go one step further. Because everybody understands, oh my God, the coronavirus, you can't help it. If you get sick, it just happened. What are you going to do? You're going to bankrupt somebody because of that? That's insane. Right, but cancer is the same. Hey, he got it. He got it. Some people get it because of their behaviors like smoking or whatever. Other people just get it. So what are you going to do? You can and should go bankrupt if need be. Oh, you got another virus? Well, you could go bankrupt. Like, what are we doing here? We're picking and choosing? No, take healthcare off the table. And the only way to do that is with a single payer, Medicare for all, national healthcare system. That's the only way to help fight this and fix this for regular people. So, there you have it, man. And people have the nerve to talk to lefties who don't want to vote for Biden and shame them, insult them, pester them. Why are you putting any energy towards those people? Take all that energy and direct it towards Joe to stop being such a goddamn idiot. Because that's what he is when he says stuff like this. And when he argues that a better world is impossible. And when he says, I'm against a single-payer system, and then he argues for a single-payer system. Okay. If he actually did those things he said he should do, then he would be doing a single-payer system. But unfortunately, we know he's not going to do that. We know he's not going to do that because he doesn't have it in him. to really fight for the people, crusade for the people. He's a path of least resistance guy, and he's always been that. So any kind of health care bill that Joe Biden would do would be, I don't know, give people some tax credits. That's it. It would be nothing. It would be next to nothing. And it's embarrassing, and anybody who defends it needs to check